Chris from Are We Good podcast, and today we're going to be doing a martial arts tier list. I'm actually super excited for this video. I've been wanting to make this tier list for a while now, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Basically, we got the S through D categories, S being the highest, D being the lowest, and then as kind of a joke, I threw in Aikido here at the bottom just to kind of represent all the BS martial arts out there that teach you to throw people with your mind or whatever, just whatever nonsense martial arts there are. But we got a good mix of traditional and modern martial arts, so I'm really excited to rank these. I'm kind of ranking them on their ability to how they do in a self-defense situation, whether you can compete and train them, and whether or not they affect your body in a positive or a negative way. So, for example, a lot of martial arts, kind of striking martial arts, I should say, can leave you with concussions, and long-term you can end up with brain damage. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start out with your boy Steven Seagal, and obviously he's going to go down in the BS category with Aikido. Just nonsense. We're not going to spend too much time on that. Next up, we got Tai Chi. Tai Chi's basically just a meditation martial art. It helps with flexibility. It has a lot of health benefits, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in the D category, but for competition and self-defense, there really isn't any application. It's basically a martial art for old people. Next up, we got Kyokushin Karate. I actually really like this martial art. I think of the traditional martial arts, it's one of the best, because they utilize a lot of striking. They use kicks, knees, elbows, and punches. I'm going to give it a C tier, though, because at the end of the day, there's no grappling. And to be honest, they don't punch to the head, which I don't really like for a self-defense situation. If you're in a fight on the street, that's all people are going to go for is punches to the head. So if you don't train that and practice how to defend that in competition, you're not going to just magically know how to block punches to the head. Next up, we got pankration. Pankration comes from the Greeks. It came from the Olympic Games. It's basically like an ancient MMA that's survived to today. I don't know exactly the differences. I don't have a lot of experience with pankration. I know that there's wrestling, there's submissions, and there's striking. But because I'm not as familiar with it, I'm going to give it a B. And that's actually part of the reason I'm giving it a B, is because there's not a lot of opportunity to train pankration. There's not really a lot of pankration gyms in the country. If I were to ever train pankration, I'm sure it would move to an A or even an S tier martial art. Next up, we got boxing, which is kind of the premier striking sport. They strike with their hands. They don't strike with their legs. I hear a lot of people say they don't use their legs, which isn't true. They use their legs a lot. They use a lot of footwork to dodge and to set up techniques. It's more correct to say they don't strike with their legs. So because they ignore kind of half the human body, and they also don't use really any grappling, I'm going to give boxing a C, and also because of the health benefits of brain damage from doing boxing long term. But I think I would never want to, fight one-on-one with a boxer, stand up. I think it's a great martial art overall. Next up, we got Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm actually a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I love this martial art, and I'm going to go ahead and give it an A category. We're only going to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We're not going to do Japanese, just because Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a little more well-known and spread throughout the world. I really like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The only reason it's not getting an S is because they don't really teach striking. I know there's combat Jiu-Jitsu, but if we're going to be honest, they don't teach very much stand-up. All their stand-up is based off of takedowns. So if you were ever in a situation where you only were able to strike, you would kind of be at a disadvantage if you only knew Jiu-Jitsu. But overall, I think Jiu-Jitsu is one of the best martial arts you can learn. Next up, we got Judo. Judo, I hate to say it, but it's kind of just a watered-down version of Jiu-Jitsu. That being said, however, I would never want to get thrown by a Judo guy. Judo is basically just pure sport, though. There's not a ton of self-defense application, but I'm still going to give it a B, because if a high-level Judo guy threw you on concrete, they could probably literally kill you. So I'm not trying to mess with judo. B is still a very high grade. It's well above average. So next up, we got karate. I did karate when I was a kid, and I think for most people, that's kind of where your karate career should begin and end is as a child. I think as an adult, karate is kind of just a waste of time. There's not a lot of self-defense application. It gives a good base to some striking forms. It has the horse stance. It doesn't teach any grappling, though. So I think karate kind of isn't that great of a martial art overall, in my opinion. Next up, we got Krav Maga, which is basically the opposite of judo in the fact that it's only self-defense. There's no sport aspect of it. I have actually not had a great experience with Krav Maga. I hope that it was just because I had a bad teacher. I would like to try Krav Maga with a better teacher, and I think my opinion of it would improve, but I think it's a very average martial art. It might help with some strength and conditioning, but overall, I think their training techniques, such as like eye gouge and groin hits, it's kind of hard to train that with a partner. So I think it's just kind of an average martial art. Next up, we got Kung Fu, or as a normal person would say, Kung Fu. I actually really like Kung Fu as far as traditional martial arts go. I think it offers a lot more dynamics than regular karate. I think it gives you more conditioning for your body, and it gives you just a better base overall for striking. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the C tier. I think Kung Fu is worth doing if you're going to try a martial art. Next up, we got Muay Thai or Thai boxing. I love Muay Thai. I've trained it for about a year and a half. They utilize every weapon when it comes to striking. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the A tier. They use their fists, their elbows, their knees, kicks, and they also have grappling. They use the Thai clinch. For those of you who think the Thai clinch is overrated, go ahead and go to your local Thai gym and have the instructor put you in a Thai clinch. I've literally seen people passed out from it. It offers great control, but if you do get a Thai guy on the ground, they're just like anybody else. So that's why I'm not going to put it in the S tier, because it does lack a lot of ground game. Next up, we got Taekwondo. Taekwondo is a very interesting martial art to me, but it's not a very practical one because basically they only focus on kicks. You can get really good at kicking with Taekwondo, and it has a great sport aspect to it, so I'm going to put it in high D tier. But because it only focuses on just kicks and no other strikes, I think it's very limited, and it also has zero grappling. If you're going to be a striking martial art, if you want to break into the higher tier, you have to have something to neutralize grappling styles. And if you're a grappling style and you want to break into the higher tiers, you have to have something to neutralize the striking styles to kind of create that balance. Next up, we got wrestling. Not WWE. I just call it regular wrestling. I don't know the official name, but just, good old leotard, wearing a leotard wrestling. I really like wrestling. They have a lot of great control. They utilize a lot of takedowns, double legs, single legs, body locks, throws, and they have great control on the ground. It's a great base for any type of grappling martial art. But they don't have any type of submission, and they don't teach striking, period, yeah. But I still think it's a little bit better than judo, so I'm going to rank it up in the B category. I've gone with some collegiate wrestlers before. I've grappled with them, and let's just say you definitely don't want to mess with a high-level wrestler. Next up, we got MMA. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Obviously, MMA is the pinnacle of all martial arts at this point. It's a mixture of all these. It's a mixture of wrestling, grappling, jiu-jitsu, submissions, striking. You're going to get all of it with MMA. MMA is the best martial art there is. If you want to try a martial art and you want to be the best fighter you can be, MMA is the way to go. And finally, we have kickboxing. Kickboxing is basically a better version of boxing. It's boxing with kicks. It's not as good as Muay Thai because they don't really do grappling, and they don't really have knees and elbows, but it's still a good martial art, I think. It's probably it is, besides Muay Thai, it's probably the highest striking style you can do. So that's it for our video, guys. We had some duplicates down here, but we're not going to do. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know what you would change in your tier list. Obviously, everyone's tier list is going to be a little bit different. The martial art you do is going to be ranked, probably the highest. But let me know what you guys think, and check out our links in the description to check out our podcast. Thanks for watching, guys.